What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the 182 News YouTube page. This is your host, Poppin' Curbs. If you've never listened to the podcast before, check out the pod. I don't do a ton of YouTube videos, but I had to on this one. So for those of you who saw the Instagram post earlier, today is a big day. I was stoked. I got lucky enough to basically pick up a piece of blink-182 history. This is one of Tom's Les Pauls from 1998. So we know that he stopped using the sticker Strat really the end of 1997. It was November-ish 1997. He stopped using the sticker Strat, converted to the Gibson Les Pauls. Now, for those of you who are gearheads or kind of know about this or listen to my podcast with Stefan and Brian, who now have Gear 182 channel, we know that he was given two Les Pauls. There was one that we call the Lucky Lady. It had a big old Lucky Lady sticker right here. That one, Little Red Guitars actually had. There's some videos on YouTube of that. I think that has since gone to a new owner who has re-stickered it with some of the original stickers, which is rad. So we knew he got that one. We knew he had a second one that was wine red. That's what we call the Billabong one. It has Billabong lettering right here. And then there was a third one, and it just had a big kind of skull sticker right here. And that sticker is an Arnette sticker. So this one is known as the Arnette Les Paul. And nobody knew what happened to it for all these years. And actually, he had a fourth that was ruined in the Josie music video, Underwater. But I don't think that one was ever played live. This one we knew was played live. Podcast guest, longtime OG fan, Davy Jones, has pictures of Tom playing this. There are videos of him playing this. So we know that he used those three. I don't know why he rotated them. I don't know if, they were set up differently. I'm not sure why he preferred ones on certain nights or certain songs. Maybe it was just a matter of what was in tune. But we know he had three that he played throughout 1998. So basically December 1997, he switches to Les Pauls. He played them all throughout 1998, which is really a rad era. This is when Travis joins the band. He was playing this at Travis's first show at Soma in 1998, and Davy Jones was there front row snapping pictures that I'll share on his behalf. That's just mind-blowing. It's so rad to me. He played it throughout 1998, and what's fascinating is we really don't know a ton about when he switched to the Strats. So it's crazy. Enema was being demoed and recorded end of 98 through early 1999. We don't know really what was happening guitar-wise during that. We suspect that he recorded a lot of Enema with Jerry Finn's guitars, but there is a very good chance that he recorded Enema demos with this. Maybe even some of the final tracks. We really don't know. If you have any pictures or information during that time period, I would love to see them. But regardless, this is an iconic guitar, and I am so stoked to own this piece of Blink history. The story, I know that's why you're tuning in. Obviously, you want to see it, and I'm trying to be cool about sharing pics, as many as I can. And of course, if you have any questions or if there's stuff you want to see, by all means, let me know. Here's how this played out, and this is just absolutely crazy. And I didn't know if I wanted to do a video or if I wanted to do a pod. I might end up doing both. We'll see. Long story short, and it's a long story. Last week, I had a DM from one of my podcast listeners, shout out Scott, and he says, "Hey man, would you mind taking a look at these pictures and just seeing if these guitars look familiar to you?" I said, sure. I get messages like this all the time, whether it's authenticating autographs or just sharing Blink knowledge. I love this stuff. I've told you all, feel free to reach out to me because I love chatting Blink with everybody. It's like so much fun to me. And he sends me the pictures. I said, sure, send them over. I'll take a look. And the first picture is a black Les Paul. And immediately in my mind, I go, oh, that kind of looks like Tom's, we call it like a backup Arnette Les Paul. No one ever knew what happened to it. The second photo was a 333. It didn't have the racing stripe, but it was modded like Tom would have wanted it. To me, it almost looked like a prototype or an early version that just hadn't been painted yet, maybe. I didn't know. So right away, to me, it looked like Tom's. I mean, it's a very unique Les Paul. I mean, nobody's modding a Les Paul like this. You know, and I'll get into it here in a little bit. But right off the bat, that struck me as, oh my gosh, that looks like Tom's. So I asked him, I said, look, you know, I'm not trying to steal your lead or anything, but like, if you're not interested, like, where did you see this? Or is somebody selling it? Or how did you come across this? Because we don't know anything about this guitar. And long story short, he said, somebody's selling it. And I don't think I can afford it. Or I don't know if I'd be interested. You know, let me put you in contact with them. I'm like, okay. And this is one thing, like collectibles in general, and especially the Blink collectibles, I mean, it can be pretty cutthroat. So I'm not here to take anybody's deal. I hate when that happens. That actually just happened to me yesterday. I had something secured and somebody fucked me over, and the dude took more money, I guess, underneath the table, and I got kind of screwed out of it, and it just sucks. And I never want to be like that, and I would never want anybody to be like that. It's just annoying. So I get in touch with the seller, and it seemed like an older guy, had a classical guitar shop, knew nothing about Blink. And long story short, he said that he came across these, and this looked like some stuff that was used by Tom or previously owned by Tom. A lot of the stuff had blink-182 on the cases and all over a lot of the things. I said, okay, you know, send me some pictures. It's kind of tough to authenticate some of this stuff, but shoot me some pictures if you don't mind. You know, I would totally be interested, you know, if you're looking to sell. So he sends me some pictures, some of the case, some of the headstock, serial number up close and such. So right away, I go to two different groups of my homies. So I go to the Sticker Strat group, which is David Jones, OG fan, Blink Still Rules, shout out Blink Still Rules, and Q182, shout out to that group. So they're like the most knowledgeable group, kind of on like old school guitars, definitely the Sticker Strat. They helped me throughout all those videos, everything I did with that. I go to them, I send them the pictures, and they're like, dude, that looks like his backup guitar that we know nothing about. Where the hell did you find that? At the same time, I'm hitting up the other group of knowledgeable guitar peeps that I know, and that's Stefan and Brian, shout out Gear 182, who've been on the podcast, just incredibly knowledgeable people. And they even said on the pod that like 99 onwards, like they know their shit for sure. So this is right on that border, and I sent it to them, and along with, you know, the Sticker Strat group, they were saying, man, that's gotta be it. Like nobody else would modify the guitar like that. I mean, it's just, there's nobody else who would modify it like this and insert this pickup and just do, you know, switch it out to these tuners that we know Tom prefers. So I felt pretty confident, you know, thanks to those groups. And I love this about Blink communities, and it's part of what's so fun to me, reaching out to other collectors or, you know, gearheads and such. There's little niche groups of folks who just they go above and beyond, and they're basically experts in this field of Blink history, little subsections of it. And it's really rad, and I always appreciate their time. And I like to think that in some capacity, I help folks out with autographs or just history and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And I appreciated them, you know, sharing their knowledge and making me feel a little bit more comfortable about it. So I also hit up a friend of the podcast, my boy Jeff P. I sent him a picture, and I said, hey man, does this look familiar by chance? And he wrote back to me and said, man, there's some stuff in the photo that just looks so familiar. Now there's parts of the story where I'm not going to get into exact details, but he said there are items in that photograph, not the guitar, not the case. There was stuff in the background that looks like a tech I know. It looks like it would have been his stuff. And at that point, I was like, okay, I knew who he was talking about, and that stuff was checking out. So at that point, I go back to the Gear 182 dudes, and because I know they had been in contact with this tech in the past, who was gracious with his time and willing to share information. And I said, do you know where this tech lived by chance? And he said, Arizona. So I call the seller and we're talking about it. And at that point, this is actually my first time like really talking to him and asking the origin and all this stuff. Well, the seller was in Arizona, and I asked the seller where he obtained this or how did he come across it, and he name drops the tech. So at that point, the story is really starting to check out. Now, along with that, there was some stuff that was still up in the air. You know, for example, the 333, we didn't know anything about. There were a couple bases that the dude was saying were marks and they weren't. So there were still parts of this that I was a tad skeptical about. But after playing, you know, through everything and lining up everything and looking at the pictures and looking at the mods, and at that point I was 100% confident it was coming from this tech. I mean, he sent me a ton of stuff that only this tech would have. I was 99% sure that this was that guitar. I mean, 99%. The only thing that really had to win me over is on the Lady Lucky Gibson, and even like the OG sticker Strat, you know, Tom de-stickered them. And as a result of that, you know, on that Les Paul and on the Fender, you could see outlines of these stickers like clear as day. This one, you couldn't see that. Now, granted, there was only one sticker, and it was right here. It was a big skull Arnette, and it was right here. So for me, there was still a little bit of inherent risk because I was just thinking that outline has got to be there. Now, granted, if a tech cleaned it up and polished it and made this thing look as pretty as they did, you know, that would be tough to see, certainly in a photograph. So with that being said, you know, I made an offer that was very reasonable, and it was accepted, and I was stoked. Actually lined up another buddy getting the 333. So it's kind of a bundle or deal, which worked out. And I started thinking, I was like, man, I'm going to get screwed on this. Just watch. Nothing ever goes my way. I'm going to get screwed on this. A couple days go by. You know, I'm not feeling great about it. Long story short, I was on the verge of getting screwed on it. I had to up my offer quite a bit to secure it, but thankfully the seller was willing to work with me. And, you know, it was one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to lose out on this. Like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah, there's a little bit of risk in it, but when you start getting into the modifications on it and what's being done, it has to be it. There's nobody else who would have this. This tech had it. Everything lines up. This is the one. I'm going all in on it. So this arrived at my house a couple days ago. I was beyond stoked. I mean, I'm a huge Blink collector. I've got a ton of Blink stuff. It's a big passion of mine, obviously. But to own a piece of Blink history like this is honestly insane. I collect a lot of baseball stuff, and in sports communities, like game used bats or balls or shoes or whatever are a big deal. I mean, that's top dollar, you know, highest collectible tier you can get. So to be able to do that in the Blink world is just so rad to me. So this shows up, the case, I'll post pictures of the case at some point, but it's such an old school like Gibson case. It's like bright pink velvet inside. And I bust it out, and I mean, it's just like I'm holding a piece of history. Like literally when Davy Jones was watching Blink in 1998 play with Travis in California for the first time, this is what Tom was playing. And I'll post some of those pictures, and it absolutely blows my mind. It's just insane. So I got this in hand, and you know, right away, some of the stuff that I could see in the pictures, he's got the Seymour Duncan swapped out right here, which, you know, we know Tom loved during that time period. The tone and volume knobs down here were modified, removed. And what's interesting is the pickup switch, which is typically up here, was moved down here. All there is this single volume knob, you know, which we ended up seeing on his Fender Strat. So you can just see that it's just modified. It's actually really cool to see how this was modified and you know, kind of became that signature model. You know, Tom's experimenting with what he wants, and whoever was setting these up at the time was doing that. There's a little hole right here. You can actually see that in some of the pictures of Davies where the pick guard was removed, which is what gives this just a unique look. You've got the Spurzle tuners, which you can see in photos. I mean, these are exactly how he was playing it in 1998. We know he prefers these. That's what he was using. It's just mind-blowing. And the last piece that I needed, even to convince myself at that point, was the sticker. It's got that huge skull Arnette sticker, and I busted out, and it was the first thing I was looking for. And I was thinking, if that sticker was there has to be some sort of remnant, either not necessarily residue, but just the mere fact of like the sun not hitting it or UV rays not hitting it, whatever. It should be a different color, barely. And I'll be damned, and I don't think you're going to be able to see it on the video, but in person, you can 100% see the outline of where this thing is. It's right here. I can see it clear as day. It goes out right here, goes down, and then to even go a little bit further, in some of the photos, there's a little piece of tape. You'll see it hanging off of the skull. There's a little piece of tape that's like right here. I can see that outline. It's right here. It's gonna be so hard. I mean, it has to be like the perfect angle, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you would never see it, but it's totally there. So at that point, I knew 100% this was Tom's Les Paul, one of his Les Pauls in 1998. This had played many a Blink show, legendary acts. This is right in that transition period between his sticker strat and then getting into 99 when the band blows up and getting his signature model and such. I'm just blown away. I'm very hesitant to even like hold it because I feel like it's just so sacred. Some folks have asked me if I'm going to resticker it. No, I don't think so. I think the owner of the Lucky Lady has restickered it, which, that first one, which looks rad. But I just can't bring myself to do it. I want to leave this thing basically as Tom held it last. And to me, I don't even want to swap the strings. It's super out of tune. I know that. I haven't even tuned it yet. I'll probably plug it in once, see if it works. It doesn't really make much difference to me, honestly, if it doesn't, because I'll probably hang it up on a wall or just, put it behind a display case. I'm not gonna resticker it. I'm not gonna play it. To me, I mean, honestly, this thing, the last time this was used, I mean, these strings, not even kidding, these could have been used for enema sessions. So I'm not switching these out with some $5 slinkies just to play. If I want to play some guitar, I'll bust out my sticker strat replica. So yeah, insane day, like basically the craziest, like best mail day ever imaginable. I'm really grateful that it worked out, super stoked. I will never sell this. The only way I could see myself maybe letting go is if for some reason Tom himself like really wanted this. But yeah, I don't know. It won't even cross my mind. So don't waste your time offering me a crazy amount. Now, if I get hit by a bus, bother my wife because she'll think it's worth like $600 and it's definitely worth a lot more than that. So yeah, this is it. It's kind of tough for me to show off with the lighting. I'll post pics, head over to the podcast Instagram. This is the back. It did not come with the strap. In the photos, he's typically using that rainbow colored strap. And honestly, I don't know if that's the same strap that he used with the Lucky Lady one, the first one, and then just swapped them out. I'm not totally sure. So anyways, wanted to get a quick video up. I know a lot of folks were stoked to hear this story, and I've been kind of teasing it as a pretty gnarly story. It's crazy. I want to thank all the folks who helped me along the way be comfortable with the purchase. If you have any pics or information or anything with this guitar, like please let me know. I'd be so stoked to have every photo on file with it. Thankfully, Davey has some pretty rad ones. And I think that's it. I might end up doing a podcast on it. Maybe I'll chat with Davey on it or something. We'll see. But I think that's going to do it. If you have any questions, hit me up, drop them in the comments. Please be sure to sub to the channel, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.